Well, tell me how you got into this and how you came up with this and how it got started, and then we can talk about what it does and how it works and all that sort of thing.
Well, thanks a lot, Bill. Yeah, Focus at Will is a music service that it's music and sound that helps people focus and concentrate at work and study, specifically when you're working and when you're studying. It's been about, this is sort of the culmination of my life's work. As you might be able to see here behind me, I've had some notable success as a songwriter and as a performer and as a composer. These are records from a band I was in back in the 90s called London Beat. I wrote a song called I've Been Thinking About You, I've Been Thinking About You. When was the last time you did an interview with someone who sang? By the way, I wasn't the lead singer of the band, but I did write the songs. So that was that was a big hit record. It was a number one all over the world, as I said, in the 90s. Because I've been really interested in music from a composer's point of view, that combined very nicely with the other thing I do. I come from a long line of British inventors. My grandfather, my father, my great-grandfather are all inventors, like a lot of the Brits. That led me to a second career, which is inventing audio technology. And I've got 6 patents around varying things, mostly to do with audio networking. The most recent ones are to do with neuroscience-based, to do with music and how music impacts your focus and concentration. Anybody watching this who knows about audio recording, there's an application called Pro Tools made by Avid. And for instance, Avid bought one of my previous startups. My technology is integrated into the Pro Tools technology. Having a sort of a background in music technology and music networking, having a strong interest, my parents from the medical field, a strong interest in neuroscience, and then having a significant success as a songwriter and as a composer, it really led me to this new idea of, is it possible to create music that specifically works to help you focus and concentrate when you're working? You know, it's interesting, when you have a product, you often need to have, what is the problem that this product solves? The problem that we solve is really simple. About 50% of all the employees in North America, and it's the same pretty much all over the world, 50% of people work in an open plan office. 75% of the millennial generation, that's people under 35. If you are sitting in an open plan office and you have to get some work done, well, what do you instinctively do? You reach for some headphones. You reach for the headphones. I've got some in right now, and then you put some music on. That's good. People like to do that. Well, the problem is this: if you listen to music that you like, that you enjoy, that you're engaged with, by the way, anything like this. This is any music by any well-known band, anything that has you tapping your foot or singing along or doing your hand in the air when the DJ does the DJ drops. Any of those things happen. The music is actually going to distract you more than it is going to help you.
Your attention is divided between the music that you're enjoying and you can't get into whatever you're supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah. And so we looked into why. So why is that? The current hypothesis is that because of the limbic system, the part of the brain, I know that this is your field of expertise, but just to explain here to people watching this, the limbic system is the part of the brain that is always looking out for your safety. It drives this thing called the fight or flight mechanism. It's that feeling of, should I, oh my God, the adrenaline's coming. I'm driving my car and all of a sudden, but that feeling at an extreme version. And when you're sitting working on a computer, or you're reading a book or you're studying something, that part of your brain is still active. Evolutionarily, us humans have only been doing this for a blink of an eye in the millions of years that we've been on the planet. We have found that if you play music in the background while you're working that has vocals in it, that part of your brain will be divided. As you say, your attention will be divided because your limbic is listening out for danger and it's listening out for reward. And what it's saying is, I can hear a human voice. Is that something I need to be, is it dangerous? Is someone going to kill me and eat me? Or is it someone I like? Is it someone bringing me a sandwich? Right? And so this mechanism in the brain is the fight or flight mechanism. We have figured out what to do in an audio stream to help manage and engage the limbic, to manage that response, which is the fight or flight response, which is the internal distraction mechanism in the brain when you're trying to work or study.
So you have created a variety of channels of music then that you have somehow scientifically vetted for their ability to not engage that fight or flight response, even on a low grade way, because obviously if somebody's listening to your vocals in the background, they're not going into extreme fear, but you're just saying that it does engage your attention because your brain evolutionarily is set up to do that. Mm-hmm. And so you can't completely focus. So you're choosing music that does not do that. So that is there something then also that is engaging, like the prefrontal cortex, the other parts of the brain that allow you to focus more of that? I assume is part of it too.
Yes, it is. The reason why this works is that we have many, many tens of thousands of exclusive tracks. All of the audio, all of the music and soundscapes on Focus at Will is completely unique to us. You won't hear these tracks. They're new versions of these pieces of music. About a third of the music on our system is completely custom created for us. As I was saying, there's no vocals. This is entirely instrumental. Not only that, there's no instruments that sound like vocals, because this part of your brain is listening out for voices. This is, by the way, we found it's vocals of any kind. If someone is singing in a language you don't understand, it's the same effect. So we have no human voices, and we have no instruments that sound like human voices. Saxophones, lead electric guitars, oboes, cellos. By the way, this is why humans love a cello, why we love a saxophone, because it sounds like a human voice. But if you have a saxophone, there's no jazz on our system. Jazz is incredibly distracting because the the saxophone.
Yeah, it's a beat. It has a beat that grabs your attention.
It's the beat, and then it's these sounds that sound like human voices, and so you are just distracted. We define the brain in two very simple ways to sort of get back to your question. One is the frontal part of your brain. We just call this your conscious mind. So your conscious brain is me talking to you now and me concentrating on this conversation with you. And my non-conscious mind is everything that's keeping me alive, looking after my safety, handling my breathing, the autonomic nervous system. What we do is, in Focus at Will, we play music for your non-conscious mind. And what we're doing is we're soothing your non-conscious mind so that your conscious mind is not distracted by your unconscious mind, by these urges and thoughts that are being driven fundamentally by your limbic system.
I know that a lot of people have written about this. The press has picked up on the success of this. Can you describe the feedback you've gotten from the users of this in terms of, because this is more than just having some nice music to listen to in the background while you work. So what are people saying that are doing this? And particularly people that are maybe starting out a little bit skeptical and saying, okay, big deal, I'm going to listen to music while I work. I've done that before. What kind of results are people getting?
The system works statistically for 2 people out of 3. That's to do with the way that your brain works. So 2 people out of 3 this works for. If this doesn't work for you, by the way, it's very clear. It just doesn't work. You're like, it doesn't work. However, 2 people out of 3, 1 person out of 3 it doesn't work for, 1 person out of 3 it works pretty well for. And they're like, yeah, this helps me. But 1 person out of 3, this is in the general population, have almost a sort of, oh my goodness, this has changed my life, like a religious experience with this. What it means is, for those people, is that this enables them to sit and work for more continual periods. Most people can sit and work. If let's say you're at work and you're looking at a spreadsheet, or you're writing some copy, or you're a developer, or you're a coder. You can work. Most people can work for about 35 minutes at a time. It's actually, for some people it's less than that, but it takes a certain amount of time to get into flow, and then it takes about 20 minutes worth of solid work. 20 minutes once you're in flow is about how long most people can work for. And of course, TED Talks are 18 minutes. When you're doing an hour's talk as a professor, or if you're doing public speaking, you've got to split your hour up into 20-minute sections. You've always got this 20-minute concentration window. We have found that for about 1 person in 3 who tries this, they can extend their concentration from about half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour, to as long as 2 hours. Very, very intense, concentrated work where you're sitting on the computer or you're sitting reading, and then 2 hours later you're like, wow, what just happened?
I could, from what I know about the brain, I could guess why that's happening.
Oh.
2 things I can think of. When you focus, you use up epinephrine. There have been a lot of studies. Richie Davidson at the University of Wisconsin-Madison did a study on attentional blink, where they found that when they showed a bunch of letters or a bunch of numbers really rapidly, like several a second, and then in the middle of it there was a number, and people had to notice that. They could notice the first one, but if another one came within a very short, less than half a second, I think, later, they couldn't notice it. Then they had them do some serious meditation training, like 12 hours a day for 2 months. Wow. Then they came back and they could do it. And the reason they found out they could do it is that the amount of epinephrine, I'm pretty sure that was the chemical involved, that was required to notice the first one was way less after the meditation training, which also turns down the dial on the limbic system. Yeah. And then they had more left over to notice the second one. In other words, their ability to concentrate was improved. Also, the potassium-sodium balance in the brain also wears out after a while, and you need a rest period for that to be renewed, because that is involved in these cells, in nerve cells, communicating with each other. So by not engaging the limbic system, which takes up a whole bunch of bandwidth in terms of these neurochemicals, you're allowing people to focus without having to be in low-grade fight or flight for a much longer period. So it makes a lot of sense scientifically that this would work. And I have used this because you gave me a complimentary use of it, and it is quite amazing what it does. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but is there?
Thank you. You summed up the basis of the science and the research behind this very well. One of our science team is called Dr. Edward Hallowell, and he's the best-selling author on ADD, ADHD. He wrote Driven to Distraction, which is the #1 best-selling book about this, and another one recently called Driven to Distraction at Work. There is a very interesting overlay from people who actually have been medically diagnosed as having ADD, ADHD, or even people who sort of regard themselves self-diagnosed as having ADHD. This technology, Focus at Will, has an extraordinary impact on their lives. It's to do with the way the more distractible someone is, in other words, the more difficulty that some people naturally have at focusing and concentrating, the more general stimulus, the more stuff has to happen in the background for them to be able to focus and concentrate. It's a fascinating thing. You know how everybody's got friends who are like chihuahuas, like hyper, and then we've all got friends who are very, very calm, like the Dalai Lama, right? Where do you think you sit on that, Bill?
Oh, I'm a Chihuahua.
Oh, well, there you go. I know. I didn't want to tell you that because
a little more toward the Dalai Lama. I'm pretty calm. I've been meditating for over 45 years. I can sit very, very still for long periods of time.
But inside, you're like a Chihuahua running around. You're anything like me. I like to do the same. I too. I've had a meditation practice for 30 years myself, and I can sit, but inside it's going crazy. So we have found that the more distractible you are, or the more like a Chihuahua you are, I don't know why we're talking about dogs, Bill, but anyway, the more distractible you are, you might think the more you need calmer music to just try and chill you out, just calm yourself down. It's the opposite. The more distractible you are, the more like a Chihuahua you are, the more hyper you are. Actually, the more intense you need the music stream. It's the strangest thing. And so the big takeaway from the conversation today is this, that if you are very distracted, you are going to need music that has a lot more kinetic energy in it, has a lot more faster, a lot more going on. On our system, we have actually a channel which is designed for people with ADHD. It's called ADHD type 1. And it sounds like a jackhammer going off underneath your pillowcase. It's impossible to listen to unless you have ADD. And if you really do have ADD, this channel is the most relaxing thing that you can listen to while you're trying to work or study. I have a couple of thousand people who've written to me just in recent months who've told me the ADD channel is changing my life. This is the most relaxing thing. I even put it on at night when I'm trying to sleep. As I said, it sounds like a jackhammer in a New York street. It's like this. It's impossible. But it really, really helps people. We've had some extraordinary cases. In fact, when I first met Dr. Hallowell, he told me that they'd had a very difficult, this is part of the reason why he became involved in the company 2 years ago. He had a 14-year-old who was a very bright kid, but just couldn't sit down and work. He was always on the go. His mother didn't want to put him on medication. There are a lot of side effects with ADD medication. They're stimulants, and it affects all sorts of things, your sleep and all kinds of things. He found that by listening to Focus at Will, the ADD channel, this kid was able to sit down and actually do a test. The first test he'd actually been able to complete, and he aced both of the tests. It was a very, very exciting moment for me to be able to help people in this kind of way.
So what are some of the other channels? I don't know, how many do you have?
There's about 18 channels. Everything is... so the thing to remember about Focus at Will is this is not music for entertainment. This is not to make you feel good or to sing along with or to be punching your hand in the air when you're driving home from work. This is not that. This is music that is a tool to help you get stuff done while you're working and studying. Also, it's good for personal work if you're like cutting your taxes or you're paying bills at home, but it's while you have to sit and get something done. It's a very specific task. The channels range from very intense up-tempo trance electronica. It just sounds like music, most of it. They don't sound like scientific bleepy sounds. This is just music. We have some classical channels, which are Bach pieces, but every single piece of music has been edited and remixed and remastered. For instance, our classical channel has a lot of Bach, Vivaldi, Baroque music, but it's been edited so that the actual pieces of music are designed to feed your non-conscious mind, but not to be too interesting. So we've taken out the really interesting bits, but we've left enough in so that your non-conscious mind is still aware of it. So you know how some people like to have a white noise generator when they sleep? I was interested to see whether we're actually in the lab at the moment, we're messing around with the white noise channel. But for most people, your brain just tunes it out. There's not enough interest in it. So we play music that is just enough interesting to keep your limbic or keep your non-focal attention, but not so interesting that it pushes the interest through into your conscious mind.
Well, so what are some of the other channels?
Okay, I'm sorry, yes.
I don't know if we have to go into detail on all of them,
Sure.
but just give us a little cook's tour of what are the other things you've addressed.
We have ambient channels, which are very, very mellow drums. There's no rhythm tracks at all. We have a beautiful acoustic channel, which is acoustic guitars and pianos. Much of that has been custom recorded for us. We have 4 channels that are our most popular channels. We have an up-tempo electronica channel, which is like DJ music. We have a down-tempo chill channel. A lot of people like that. It's not quite so intense. We have a classical channel, which has got a lot of Baroque in it. And then we have a channel called Focus Spa, which sounds a little like music you'd hear at the spa, sort of new age music. But that's been very carefully edited as well, so there are no vocals, there's no instruments that sound like vocals. And then we have a handful of soundscapes. We have a beta channel called Coffee Shop, and our coffee shop is custom recordings of coffee shops. There are 2 kinds. There's a creative, a coffee creative, and then there's a coffee focus. And it depends what kind of work you're doing. Some people really like these. I think 4% of our users listen to the coffee. We have a water channel too, which is custom recorded. These are new recordings of water, waves, fountains, and rivers. These channels, they're really good for people that find music distracting but still can't work in silence.
Mm-hmm. So how do people go about then figuring out which of these channels? Is it just they go in and try them, or
It's a little bit of trial and error. Our onboard process gives you some.
you tell,
Yeah.
for instance, the ones that do meet a specific need, like the ADD stuff,
Yes.
or the creativity or whatever, you have them marked so that people can. But a lot of them are really for just focus for the average person, and they're just different choices of what kind of sounds, and
Yes.
you pick the ones that you like the best.
Everybody is different. Everybody's brain type is completely unique. And what works really well for you will not work for me. Well, it may, but I don't, I don't think so. We have a series of channels called drums and hums. Again, these are all custom recordings. These are just a drummer in a studio and with some hums, similar to some of the Holosync sound, some of your binaural training. This is gated hums, and these are channels that work very well for a small subset of our users. People who are slightly autistic, for instance, say that this works very well for them. A lot of very, very competent developers have that. If you're a computer developer, and I say this to anybody who's listening, if you're a developer, the more talented you are as a developer, your brain is different than most other people's, which is why you're amazing at what you do and why they get paid so much money. If you are a developer, often the kind of music or the sound you need to work with is different than someone who's, say, just a graphic designer. And we have channels specifically aimed for computer development as well.
Huh. So if people want to try this, then what have you set up so that Holosync people can give this a try and
Absolutely.
find how it works for them?
There is a 15-day free trial, no credit card required. The link is on this page. And we're giving Holosync users a 20% discount, a special bill. You know, your initials are WRH, aren't they?
Right.
So are mine. I'm William Russell Henshall. So people are getting the WRH discount here, I think. Our yearly cost is $69.99 for full access to the system. The best deal is a 2-year cost, which is $99.99, and we are giving Holosync users 20% off. So it's going to be $55.20 for the year, $79.99 for 2 years. And we have a 30-day guarantee. You've got 15 days to check it out without putting your credit card in. So
people would sign up for 15 days to try it for 15 days, and then you say, okay, your 15 days is up. Would you like to take advantage of this 20% discount? And then they can sign up, and then they have 30 days after that to say, nah, I don't want to do it if they don't want, if they're one of that 1/3 of people who don't respond to it as well.
that's right.
And when you told me these prices earlier, I kind of figured out that if you sign up for the $55.20 a year, you're paying 19 cents a day.
That's right.
To be more focused.
That's
and
right.
if you sign up for the 2-year deal, you're paying 13.7 cents a day, which is pretty darned inexpensive. And my gosh, if you do any kind of work where you need to focus, where you need to concentrate, I mean, even if everybody has had the experience of reading a book, and you start to turn the page and you realize that while your eyes went over all the words, you have no idea what anything on that page said, and then some people just keep going and they don't get anything out of the book. But when I do that occasionally, I think, whoops, and I go back and I read the page. But I assume that if people are listening in the background to focus at will,
Yes.
they're not going to have that experience. So even if you're not a computer coder or ADD or whatever, this is a valuable way to take in information and retain it, and I assume retrieve it much more easily. And I really do encourage people to give this a try. I've tried it, and I think it's pretty amazing. And my staff pointed out to me all these different articles in national magazines where people have been impressed by this. So at any rate, I would just say to people, if this sounds at all interesting to you, click on the link below, get the 15-day trial, and give this a shot. It's Centerpoint is all about, especially lately, we're all about the newest brain research and how to use that research to improve your life.
Yes.
And this is a great example of one strain of brain research and someone who has taken it and created a practical use for it, which you have. So I commend you for that. And anything you want to say before we sign off? Any last words to people?
I just want to say I've been a fan of your products and what you've been saying for many years, Bill. Both John Vitale, the other co-founder of the company, and myself, both use your technology. We don't use it for what we do. We don't use it for focus and concentrated work, but we use it for many other things. Thank you so much, Bill.